All right, this is Justin with Targeting Alpha, back with another video for tonight. In this video, we're going to be going over the ThinkorSwim platform and how to basically get set up from start. So I am in my simulated or paper money platform right now, just because I wanted to kind of start fresh here. Now, what you can do here is if you already have things set up and you're not sure about how this video is going to go, or if you like the setup that I run, you can go here to setup and you can go to save workspace as, and you can just save it as the main workspace, and that'll allow you to revert back to that current state that you're at now. But since I've already reset this platform to default setting, this is kind of what you'll see when you first get to the default. And after you save it, you just go here and reset workspace to default. Now, you'll come to this home screen here, and you can always get back here. It's I never really use this, and it never really goes to the screen once you get set up, but it does have some good economic data, and you can add different widgets like your account portfolio, profit loss for the day, some other stuff, but again, I rarely use this. So let's first head over here to charts, and that's going to kind of pull up a blank chart here. And let's start here on this side bar here for widgets. And what I'll do here is just, if you click on this, you can delete these gadgets. So let's go ahead and just start with deleting all the gadgets here. Okay, so you got a clean screen there. Go down to the bottom plus signal down here and add gadget. The first gadget is a watch list. So click on this watch list and change it to current account positions. So this will be when you take a trade, it'll have just your open account positions here. Next step is to open up another gadget and do the same thing, do watch list. Now, I still have some watch lists in my platform here, but if you go here to your personal, this will be where all your saved watch lists are. And you can create a watch list here by creating watch list, and let's just do that. We'll name it test watch list. You can name it whatever you want. And from here you can go ahead and add symbols. So you could add like Roku, which is a stock we talked about in our last video a little bit, AMD. And if you want to know where to find stocks to put onto your watch list, you can refer to one of my first videos, which was finding swing trades with FinViz. It's a good place to start. But we'll go through some videos of some different scanners in the future and different ways to find stocks besides that. But again, that's a good place to start. So once you got that set up, go ahead and open up another widget here or gadget. And this one's going to be live news. So this is going to be basically all your live news feed. And then lastly, I like to do message center or trader TV. Now the trader TV, if you have multiple monitor, and then really that goes for the watch list and the news and everything else, you can detach these gadgets and you can take them over to your secondary screen to offer more room for your charting here. But we'll just leave that down in there. So once you have that set up, the first thing to do is go ahead and link up all of your watch lists here. So let me go ahead and close down this one here. So the way you do that is by go to the symbol link, and I just go with red. And so link up this watch list to link up your news feed, make sure your chart's linked up. Looks like it's default to red. So now if you click on this stock AMD, it's going to pull up the news for that stock. It's going to pull up the chart for that stock. And so as you go down through your watch list, it basically will allow you to get the news feed and also get the chart for that stock. So now you can also move this in, or actually close it or open it. You can also move it in or out to give yourself more room. Now under my account or current account watch list, I do like to go here to the gear symbol and add customize and type in P/L and do profit loss open. And then you can click, either double click the item or just click down here, add item. And that will add a profit loss category and tell you, if you have an opened position, what is the dollar amount that you're up. On the watch list, a few things I like to add is mark percent change. So mark percent change here. You can just double click it, adds it to the list. And the last one is volume. Now, I will show another way to do volume and the way that I used to look at volume here later on in this video, but I like to have it on this list because what you can do, let me just add it real quick here. Is you can sort by volume. So if you click the top, it'll, if you have several, let's go ahead and add some more. Let's do NVIDIA. Let's do Disney. All right. So you can sort by volume. So it allows you to see what stocks in your watch list are trading with the most volume for the day. And also you can change by this mark percentage. I like to move this mark percentage over here next to net change. And then I collapse these down just enough to where I can see what I need to. And leave as much space available for your chart. Something like that. So you can also search by mark percent change here. So on your watch list, you can see what's the worst performing stock percentage wise, what's the best performing stock percentage wise, and this is how much it's changed percent wise since the close. So that's about all you do here on this side area here. So next up, let's go to Setup, Application Settings. And I don't know that there's a whole lot that I change here. You can change to some different themes, like a light theme. So that's where you would do that, but I like the dark theme. Under notifications, you can set it up to where when you have an alert triggered, it will send you a push notification to your cell phone. So as you get into this and you start setting alerts, it's nice to have it go to your phone. There is a little bit of lag between when that alert hits and when it actually gets through to your phone. So it is not immediately, but it's nice to, if you're doing something else, if you have an alert hit you can go to your computer and kind of check it out. Or they do have a mobile app for ThinkorSwim as well. Definitely not a platform that I use to trade much, but it would allow you to pull that stock up pretty quick. So that is about it. So let's apply those settings here. And next up, we're going to head over here to the settings for the chart itself. So you get to the first screen, which is general. I like to make sure overlap volume is set to off, because if you overlap volume, your volume will overlap on your chart, which does open up a little room, but on some of these stocks you'll have, a large volume day that kind of encapsulates the candle itself. And I like to run my volume as the same color as the candle that it represents. So I always have overlap volume off. Under my tools, I put on each chart. This will create a toolbox up here, which I'll show you a little bit later. And then next up here, under time axis, I get rid of the expiration Fridays. Under expansion area, I set this to 15 bars, and this will expand your chart to the right, give you some more room on the right side. Also allows you to see upcoming earnings, and also kind of foresee a little bit of trending, so it's nice to have that extra space. Next up, under time frames, I pretty much leave these as is. Some people like to use a 3-minute chart or 2-minute chart. I use the 1 minute sometimes for entries. Most of my entries are off a 5-minute chart. And then I break down the trend with a weekly and a daily, and then dive down deeper into a 20-day, 1-hour chart for my kind of main trend line look. But then 5 minutes is where I make most of my entries. I'll also use a 15-minute chart for certain candle patterns, so they all are pretty much useful. I don't use a 30-minute very often at all, but pretty much the defaults work there. But you can add different time frames. You can add a intraday, 5-day, 2-minute chart if you wanted to there. And I'll just add it here. From there you can move it up to the spot that it would be here. Oh, I do like to change this 1 day, 1 minute to a 5-day, 1 minute. That does, now I don't use 5 days very, very often, but it's nice to sometimes see a 1 minute chart on a 2-day, which, any of these things you can kind of zoom in on. So I do make that adjustment. Next is going to be appearance. I fill my candles. So if you just click on fill, it's going to fill your candles here instead of having them be hollow here. It kind of fills in those green candles. It just allows you to see it a little bit better. Down here is where you color your volume bars as the candle itself. So if you have a candle where, like a doji candle where price closed where it opened, it's going to be white, red for red, green for green. And then for my background, I do like to go with a darker color like a black. Just makes, for me, it easier to see and just more contrast. And then for the grid, that's these dotted lines here. I like to take off the grid, and that will kind of clean up the chart a little bit. Just for me, it's my preference. And again, all this is preference to you here with color-wise, but there's nothing really else that I use here under equities, options, futures, or Forex. If you trade, options or Forex, you may want to look into that, but this will be strictly for stock trading. So let's go ahead and apply those settings, and here's the chart that we got. So let me go ahead and just clear the drawing set on this here. All right, as you can see, when you hover up here, it pulls up that bar that I was talking about. So the first thing you want to do is just pin it to the top. That way that's always there. Head over here to the settings. Under the text note, I don't do much text notes on the chart, so I just delete that. Simple moving average, go ahead and delete that. Trend line, you'll use that often. I like to add also a price level tool. Also add a Fibonacci retracement and a Fibonacci extension as well. Now you can also add other things too here. Different other drawing, Fibonacci arches and things like that. But these are the ones that I use on a daily basis. So those are the ones I put there. So just click done and you got them. Now you can also center click on your mouse and that pulls up all of these, but then you're searching for, oh, here's the trend, oh, here's price level, down here's Fibonacci. To me, it's easier just to have it up here, and I think everyone would agree with that. You can also access your drawing tools here from drawings, drawing tools, and they're right there. So next up, let's head over to studies. So under studies, the first one is a volume study. Now I have this named Perry volume. I don't remember who I got this from, so I wish I was able to give the recognition that's due, but it is a pretty awesome volume indicator. I don't know, maybe the guy's name or girl's name was Perry. So that's just how I've always had it since I imported it in. And I'll show you kind of what it is here. So Perry volume, and you're going to add this to the price level up here. You can just drag that up into the price level and apply. And what it's going to give you here is the average 30 bars on the daily. So you can see this stock today, Nvidia, traded at 137% of the daily average of 8,170,000 shares. It traded 11.2 million today. So that's a strong indication of either a pretty intense sell-off or intense run-up. Today it looked like a gap down with a nice sell-off. You can also head into like a 5-minute chart too. So it does allow you to kind of see what the average 30 bars of volume are, or the average last 30 bars of volume, and what the current bar is. So if you're in a breakout of a trend or a candle pattern, sometimes this is easier to see confirmation of what your current bars volume is in respect to the previous 30 bars average. And it's still going to give you on that chart where it's at on the daily, percentage wise, and what the average daily volume is, which is nice because if you're going through different stocks, I don't like to trade anything under really 400 average volume over the last 30 days. So you can easily see as you add it to your watch list what the volume is. Now, to get this study, let me head back over here to my study and type in Perry volume. And if you right click on it and then share, I'll click share here. Pull up a notepad. And that should be it, I believe. Let me just double check that. Yeah, there's the link right there. Now you can jot this down. I will put it in the description of the video, but the way you'll import this is you'll copy it, head back over here to the top setup here and go to open shared item. You'll input that URL, hit preview, open. It's going to say being saved from targeting alpha. You can rename that. You can name it whatever you want, come up with a name that you can remember, but I've always had it as Perry Volume. And you'll just save that out. And since I already have it, I'll go ahead and cancel that. So once that's on the chart, the next thing I like to add is Bollinger Bands. And I do use exponential averages, and I'll also use simple moving averages for, it looks on the daily. Sometimes simple works out better, so you can catch those like 50, 200 moving average crosses and things like that. But for the most part, I like exponential because it gets you ahead of the move a little bit. It reacts a little bit quicker, and just gets you in front of that move a little bit to at least start looking at your other things, your other indicators that you're going to use, your candlesticks, your price action. So I use a exponential moving average probably more, but I'll show you how to set this up. So the Bollinger Band, the center line on a Bollinger Band is going to be your 20 moving average. So if you click this here, it's at 20 and I change it to exponential. This color for the center band I leave. This is default blue color. For the outer band, I go with a light gray, just so that it kind of blends in a little bit. Doesn't, so a lot of times you'll get your stock candle moving outside the Bollinger Band, and I just feel that it's better to have it kind of less noticeable. And then once you get that, go ahead and save that as your default. Next up is going to be exponential, EXPO, and just MOV average exponential. And go ahead and add the selected 3 times. Now you can go to the first one here. It's going to be saved as a 9 moving average. I like to make my 9 moving average this lighter color, like a white or a light gray. Save as default. Okay. The next one, you're going to change this length to a 50. And a 50, I use orange. I think many traders do. So just to be consistent, set as default. Okay. And the last is going to be your 200. And the 200 is pretty consistently red for everybody. And then save as a default here. Now, there's many traders that trade a 15 moving average, a 13 moving average, a 5 moving average. So really, there's no kind of real awesome secret with moving averages. The best thing that I can say for a moving average is when you have several on your chart, whether you want to put a 5 or a 15 or something like that, is look for where that is bouncing off a moving average. Try to see where it's finding its support. Maybe it's finding support at a 20. Maybe it's finding its support and bouncing off the 50. You know, in different time frames, these moving averages will be a different bounce. You know, you may have a 15-minute chart with it bouncing off the 50, and then you switch it to an hourly chart and it's bouncing off the 200. So just you want to kind of look for those repetitions of bouncing off a certain moving average. There is other strategies out there too, like certain moving average crosses, like a 9 crossing the 20. Obviously the golden cross is your 50 crossing your 200. But these are the ones I like to use, so feel free to add different ones, play around with it, see what you like best. And then really the only other main one that I use is going to be RSI. Now I do use MACD from time to time, but RSI is kind of a staple of my trading, and I will be doing a video just trying to work up some things on that. And I figured, you know what, let me get this platform set up. I know there's a lot of Robinhood traders coming over now that TD Ameritrade is zero commission, and I do believe the platform is going to grow. And I said, let me get this video out here to show how to set this up. So once you've got these, go ahead and apply and hit OK. And then you're going to have your moving averages, your RSI here, your Bollinger Bands. Oh, real quick, head back over here to this study. I don't know how this got changed here, but it's got your left axis here. If you go to this Perry volume and you go to left axis, you can uncheck that and hit OK. And it's this portion of your screen here, and you apply it. You can see that it opens up and gives you a little more real estate for your chart. So let me head back over here just on a daily on this thing. You can see here the 50 crossing the 200 on the daily signified a pretty good sell-off here. Now you have the 50 heading back up over the 200. Could signify a run-up here, although I'm not a big fan of NVIDIA for some reason. I've never really done well calling this stock. It's kind of a tricky one to call sometimes, but I did call the top on NVIDIA. I never took a position and invested in it, but I pretty much called that 290 top with a RSI divergence. So, and I'm going to get into that in kind of my RSI video, but let me try to think of anything else here. So once you have this chart pattern set up, right, you can go to studies and you can save study set as exponential, or let's just say EMA. And then you can head back over here, open up your Bollinger Band, go to simple, hit OK, go through here and just delete that moving average, that one, and then go to simple moving average. Add 3 of those, open up your 9, leave it the same color, OK. Open up your next one, change it to a 50, change it to orange, OK. Next one, 200. Change it to red. And apply. And you can see how this is reacting a little differently here, the simple moving average as opposed to the exponential. So you can go to your studies again, save study set as SMA or simple moving average. Then from these studies you can load EMA or load SMA. If there's other strategies that you have, you know, whether it's on like a daily chart, you can, you know, remove stuff. You know, let's say you don't use Bollinger Bands on a 1 minute chart. You can have, you know, that you could save out multiple study sets with different indicators on them for different strategies. And I'll try to get into some of that stuff in the future, but for the meantime, I think getting an EMA and SMA study set up here with these indicators will do you well. Let me go back here. The 9 should be this white color. Okay, there we go. All right, and let me try to think if there's anything else that would be beneficial. Oh, yes. So let me go ahead and just clear out all of those and hit apply. And what you're going to want to search for here is Theo, trader. Let me think here. Expected move. So if you go to this first link here, auto expected move study tutorial, and just so I can give credit where credit's due, Don Kaufman over here at Theo Trader, he worked on the ThinkorSwim platform back in when it was just getting going. A really smart guy. If you trade options, he's definitely a trader that you want to listen to. And he developed this expected move study. It's based on the option pricing and the volatility of the option markets and the kind of implied volatility. And it basically will take your close on a Friday, the close of the market, whatever stock that you're looking at, and it will chart it where the expected high and low range will be. So I'll just show you. Now, there is a video that kind of walks through how to set this up, but I'll walk you through that real quick. So just grab this link, head over here to your setup, open shared item, open, preview, open, from here you just shut that down, and now you can head over to your study and type in Theo, and you just add this Theo trade expected move to the price level of your chart here. Now I already have it saved out as expected move. So what I want you to do is go ahead and open this up by double clicking or hitting the gear. And you need to change these levels. For some reason, the default on them is off. I'm going to open up mine that's already been adjusted and just kind of go through it. So once you're there, show high bubble, no. Show low bubble, no. Show high dots, yes. Show low dots, yes. Show touches high dots, yes. Show touches low dots, yes. Show touches daily, no. Show EM calculator is yes. Show high-low detail is no. Show high-low daily, no. And show high-low daily insight is no. Now, if you did darken your background screen here, the other thing you want to do is go to this SPX 0 and change that color to like a white and hit OK. Then what you can do here is, let me pull that original one back up. So when you have it here on the chart as well, you can go here and rename it. And I just renamed mine expected move. Just so if I'm looking for it, if it got taken off my chart or something like that, I do. It's easier to remember than a shared item. So let me go ahead and apply that and OK. And as you can see here on a daily chart, this is really what this is used for. This is going to be your close on Friday. And this is your expected move to the downside and expected move to the upside. As you can see kind of on this week, it did break down through on the last day, but you had a couple of bounces off of it. It's not perfect. It's better for indexes like your if you're trading ES futures or anything, but it gives you a good peek into what the option market is saying as far as what the volatility is going to be. So one thing I'll do sometimes here is I'll click on my price level and I'll draw a price level there and a price level there. And that way it'll be like a good reminder of the expected move when you remove it. So let's go ahead and save this study set to expected move. So you go to the EMA, it's gone, but you still have your lines here. So if you want to bring it back up, just go to your load study, expected move. Because if you go to a 5-minute chart, it gets kind of crazy here. You can see all these, especially when it gets outside of the expected move, it kind of makes it tough to chart on. So like I said, this is really used for just the daily and kind of what the week expected move is going to be for the next week. So when you're looking at stocks on Sunday, trying to figure out what you're going to trade come Monday morning, you know, you pull up this expected move and you kind of see where it could, you know, potentially go. Now, let me just head back over here to just your standard EMA study here. And then so let me just draw a price level here. Let me draw a trend line. So if you click on this and edit properties, so if you click on the trend line itself, yours will probably be like a red. It'll probably just go from where you initially touch the line to where you end the line. go ahead and set your extension to the left on and extension to the right on. And you can change this to whatever color you want. I usually do white. You can thicken the line. You can make it a dotted line if you want. This is what I go with, but whatever's better for you. I just want to show you you can modify this. And then just make sure you save it as a default and then hit OK. And that way every trend line you draw is going to be the same. Same with price level. You can edit that. And do a extension to the left on as well. Extension to the right on. Show the price on the right side. And I make my price level a dotted line so I can tell the difference between it and a trend line. Save that as default. Okay. Now I do go into my Fibonacci tools and I make adjustments to those as well. I'm going to do a video on Fibonacci and how that's used, so I'll just leave that for now. But if you're just getting going, learning your trend lines and learning your price levels, support, resistance, those are going to be the things that you really want to look at to start with anyways. So I think that about covers everything. So, another thing that I will get into here with another video is going to be how you make a trade on the platform. So let me just open up the active trader and also time and sales. Now the time and sales shows you kind of what the market, the buys on the buys and the sells of the market, basically. It's what they call the tape. So, but if you wanted to make a trade here, you could enter your order in here and use buy market or sell market. Now, if you do go down here, you can set a limit order on the ladder chain itself. And also you can hit auto send here, so whenever you click something, it automatically puts that order in. So that's how you can set a limit order. I will get in detail with this active trader in a later video. I'll probably do a whole video on the active trader and how to customize all this stuff, how to customize your different buy buttons and sell buttons and what all this stuff does. But if you guys are just getting going and you're looking to execute trades, I recommend just entering in the amount of shares that you want, and then on this ladder you'll pick your price point. So obviously you can move this around, based on what you're seeing in the charts. You pick your price point and just drop it there, and that'll fill you on a limit order. On the reverse side, you can, once you're in the stock itself and you've made profit, or you're trying to stop a loss that you're having, you can just flatten the position, or you can just use this to sell a limit order. So I think that covers everything there. Please like the video if you do like the content that I'm bringing you. I'd love to hear some comments in the comment section too, some advice, some different videos I can do. Please subscribe to my channel. It helps me out, and that way I can keep bringing you guys awesome content like this. So good luck on your trading tomorrow, and you guys have a good one.